everyday role play. So this is talking about how submission in the marriage plays a role or extends to all areas in everyday life. So give me a second to explain what I mean by this. We see submission play out in marriage when a man is submitted to Christ and a wife is submitted to the husband. The children see that.
Right.
And they learn what submission looks like.
Right.
And that family is now displaying what submission looks like in a godly context. And you add those families with other families that are in a church, and you have a church that actually understands what submission looks like. And then we watch that play out in the communities that we live in. Just perfect for the communities that we live in. And those communities, one by one, God is changing those communities, and it can make a real impact in the world just by the wife and the husband learning to submit by example. And that's the crux of this episode today, is us as husbands and wives. We have to know what it looks like, and then to live it out when it comes to submitting by example. Our kids are watching. There's kids in the neighborhood that are watching. The rest of the church can be influenced that way.
Job for us, 'cause we work together.
Yeah, our jobs, the communities, they watch us. So when they see us submit to Christ and to one another in the marriage context, submitting by example, imagine what type of influence we can have on the world.
Yeah. I think it's easy to spill out definitions and to spill out what it could look like, what the scriptures say. I think what's difficult is what that looks like practically. I think that's where the women cry out, like, okay, but help me. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that when, and then they fill in the blanks. I think that's what is most difficult.
And that's why it's so very important that they get into a solid biblical church.
Amen.
Because the women like us are the ones that should be teaching them that
That's
in
right.
them practical ways. And they're not going to be able to do that void of the Spirit.
Right. And then they can see the realness of, listen, we don't have it all together.
Right.
Like I shouldn't be on this microphone right now, but it is simply because of God's grace that we can even talk about it. So they can see the imperfections and God's grace.
And we're not, for those that, are single and like, man, how could I ever live like these ladies on the mics? Like, you know, we're not here to say that we're perfect at this. This is absolutely something that we're still learning daily.
Your shirt says kill sin.
Right. Right. For sure.
Right.
For sure.
We're going to get back to the comment section in just a few minutes, guys. Those of you that are commenting, we will get back to you in just a few minutes. I'm trying to ask this question to you guys. I'm going to put it in the comment section. And y'all can answer this. Question for the audience, for the ladies that are sitting here. Have you ever noticed Christian marriages falling in line with the world's teachings, compromising and adopting worldly ways? And if so, what damage do you think that it's caused today?
That could be a whole entire broadcast all by
episode.
itself.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It's spreading like gangrene. Not only is it in the world, but it's in the church too.
We're like
We don't live. Yeah, we don't live any
we're
different.
watching the death of marriage, like before our
Can't hear
eyes.
you.
The death of marriage, like it's before our eyes because of people following the world's standard of what marriage should look like and submission and things like that. It's like marriage is not about us. It's not.
Well, they're stripping even what marriage is. I mean, we don't even.
The roles.
The world doesn't even have that definition.
Yeah. What the family structure should look like
And there's no value. I mean, if you want to marry someone, that's fine. You can divorce them. If you're done, what's the
Right.
sense? You can just divorce them.
Yeah. For no reason.
Yeah.
And then we see the consequences play out in our children.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why our youth is lost and our kids grow up and we're like, but they went to church. Well, because the family unit is broken.
Right.
Yeah, and it's no wonder why when we have a lack of male leadership in the home, it's no wonder why we have a lack of male leadership in the church,
Yeah.
in our communities, throughout the world.
You have such a strong, the women right now have such a strong voice in the world, and it's making the men like, maybe they're right, maybe we should fall back a little, and they're kind of just like letting go of the leadership that is so important in the home.
Right.
It's so important.
Yeah, but I think they like it as well. How many young females do you know that are working full-time jobs, maybe even more than one, and their boyfriends do nothing?
Yeah.
Sit at home and play.
They just sit home and play Fortnite.
That's true.
Fortnite is life. Yeah, and so it's just, for me, it's like I'm seeing the consequences of even that sin play out even in my own family with my older children.
Yeah.
From not living biblical, for not living by the rule God has placed in our lives, for living on our own devices, doing what was right in our own eyes. We are now even still dealing daily with the sins of our older children.
Right.
I mean, by God's grace, Devin, he's saved, but that wasn't nothing that we've done.
Right.
And so, it's the continuous prayer with God. Please, just like in Jeremiah, God comes out and he tells them, you're following your father's ways, and they were not good. You had my word and you turned from it. I want to be God. I don't want to follow my father's ways. I don't want to follow what the world tells me to do. I want to do what you want me to do. Please fix what I did wrong.
Yeah.
Save
Amen.
my children. Save my
Amen.
family.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Amen.
Yeah.
Sister Karen says women no longer seem willing to be in biblical order in the home. It's not enough. Men no longer ask this of their women because of what our culture says a lot of women should do.
Yeah, they don't feel valued in being at home, or valued in, and I'm not saying that, women can't work outside the home. I think that her role is to be home. She's not to be a busybody outside the home, but there's no longer value in that. It's an antiquated idea, even with our own children, like Davina was saying, that if you're trying to instill these things in your children, it's us against them and the world. It's not just us against them.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna actually touch on that topic, the attack on submission in marriage, right after this, in a couple minutes. Ruth says feminism being on the rise has affected households.
Yeah,
it's
for
like a
sure.
repeat of the church in Ephesus. And I thought, man, that's it makes so much sense that it is on the rise, because again, there's a lack of male leadership in the homes. And so women getting to the point where, like, hey, I'm good, I don't need him.
Or
A child doesn't need the father. All he needs is his mom.
Or men have taken advantage too of their leadership,
And that
it
too.
has destroyed the view on leadership in the home, and for women, especially women who are victims of sexual assault and things like that. Like,
Right.
Yeah.